You must adopt this type of mindset to be a better leader. Hey, my dear, it is leadership development coach Kathy Archer and author of best-selling book, Mastering Confidence. I can't even say my own title of my book. I am so grateful that you're here today joining me either on the live call or in the replay. Today, we are going to talk about mindsets, and I'm going to teach you three things. What a mindset is first, the two mindsets that most of us either have in most given situations, and which one you need to develop to be a better leader, and then what you need to do to get that. As I'm getting this going, I'm going to hop on over to my Facebook so that I can share this into my Confident Women Leaders group. And while I'm doing that, I would love for you to put a comment in the box and tell me where you're calling in from. Say hello as we get rolling here. 2 seconds. This always takes me half a second. But I know you are typing away saying, hello, Kathy. Oops, I'm not sharing that like that. Let's try this one more time. Share in a group. Share my Confident Women Leaders group. And away we go. All right. So if you are a woman in a leadership position, you might be interested in joining the Confident Women Leaders group. And I'm going to share that. Sorry, just shutting my internet off so that I'm not distracted. I'm going to share that in the links after. Confident Women Leaders group is a private Facebook group for women who are in leadership positions and maybe struggling a little bit, want some support and help and guidance in a nurturing community of other women leaders who are all going through similar things. That's what Confident Women Leaders group is about. I'll share the link after. And I always make sure that those ladies get these videos every Thursday. If you find this helpful, please share. Make sure that other women get this information as well. Because as women leaders, we shouldn't have to be going through this stuff all alone. Today, we are talking about mindsets. And as I said, we're going to talk about sort of three things. What is a mindset? The two kinds of mindsets that most of us tend to have in any given situation. The one that's going to help you develop your leadership better, and how to get that. Because I think as most women leaders, we want to be doing our best work. We want to be giving our all. We want to be having an impact, making a difference, and growing the people around us to be their best selves. And sometimes we struggle with that. Sometimes things get in the way of that. And so what I want to talk about today is your mindset so that you can start going there. If you've been following my work any long, if you've been reading Mastering Confidence or involved in the Mastering Confidence intensive course or doing the online programs with me, you'll know I talk a lot about your thinking. I'll talk a lot about the way you think and how you think and what kind of thoughts are going to get you where you want to go. That's a lot of what mindset is. Your mindset is your view. It's the way you see things. It's your attitude. Some of us have a bad attitude. Some of us have a good attitude. Some of us have bad attitudes about certain things and maybe good attitudes about other things. But it's that way you see things. It's your attitude. It is your mental makeup, so the way your brain kind of works. Your mindset can also be thought of as your mentality, right? Like, what's the mentality you have about this? Or the biggest thing that I keep saying and coming back to again is it's your way of thinking. Your mindset is the way you see the world, the way you think about the world. So when we pull that back into leadership, what's your attitude about your employees? What's the way you see your boss? What's the viewpoint you have about your ability to learn something new, take on new projects? What's your mentality about your to-do list? That's all your mindset. And so when we think about mindsets, the mindset we have about any of those particular topics, the challenges that we're faced with, our overwhelming to-do list, the people that we have to deal with, the projects on our plate, when we have a particular mindset about that, it's either helping us move forward and getting the direction we want to go, or it's keeping us stuck and stagnant and killing us in the long run. Remember a few weeks ago, we were talking about the surviving to thriving continuum. So for those of you that weren't there or need a refresher, we all sort of exist in our leadership in this continuum of either survival mode, where we are barely getting through the day-to-day stuff. We are feeling like we're constantly hanging on. We are feeling like we're about to unravel, drop the ball on things, mess up. We're stuck, we're annoyed, we're irritated, we're frustrated. We're not really enjoying our day-to-day much. That's survival mode. You know what it's like. You get up in the morning and you're like, oh my God, do I have to do this again? You get up each day and you dread going to work. You fight your way through the day and you come home at the end of the day exhausted, drained, frustrated, in tears, wishing you never had to go back there again. Now, hopefully not all of us are there or don't spend a lot of time there. But the truth is, you've probably been there and you probably spent some time there, and maybe you're there now, or maybe you're way on the other end in thriving mode. Thriving mode is when you love your work and you're excited to go to work every day and you're engaged and you have a team around you who you enjoy working with and you are all on a similar mission and you're aimed at achieving a similar goal. That's thriving. Most of us are somewhere in the middle of those two, which is often what we describe as tolerable. Yeah, it's a job. I do my work. I go home. That's it, right? So we're all along that continuum, some range of one end or the other. And truthfully, we move back and forth along that continuum. But the goal for most of us in our leadership is move towards that thriving target. I did a guide sheet a few weeks ago called the Thriving Target. I think it's, let me look at my notes, guide sheet number 23, if you're interested in that. How to create that vision of that leadership day-to-day experience. That's your thriving target. And if you want to get there more, you need to have the mindset, the thoughts, the view, the attitude that's going to help you get there. So there are two key mindsets that we typically talk about. The first is a fixed mindset. The second is a growth mindset. I'm going to switch my notes so I make sure that I'm tracking along here with what I'm doing. You guys know I always have notes with me, and I am just trying to stay on top so that I give you the best information in the quickest amount of time that makes the most sense for you. So here's the thing about mindsets. The view you adopt of yourself, so remember we said mindsets are views, the view you adopt of yourself profoundly impacts the way you lead your life. So we can talk about the view of other people and the problems and the challenges around us, but I want you also to think about the view you adopt of yourself. Carol Dweck is a researcher at Stanford University, and she's been studying mindsets, and she's realized there are two basic ones. The first one is this fixed mindset. People with a fixed mindset believe that their skills, their qualities, their talents are carved in stone. This is who I am. This is a lot I've been given in life. What you see is what you get. I'm as smart as I'll ever be. You know, I'm not very creative. I don't have a creative bone in my body. It doesn't matter how much I, try and learn and grow. I'll never get it. And so you'll hear that in kids in school, but you'll also hear it in leaders. I can't speak in public. I'm not good at handling conflict. I am a procrastinator, always have, always will be. You hear those mindsets? That's a fixed mindset. The opposite is a growth mindset. People with a growth mindset believe that with effort and time and persistence, they can grow and develop. They can develop new skills, new talents. They can increase their brain power. They can change the way they interact with other people. So they'll say things like, I don't know, but I guess I'll figure it out. Or I'm not so sure, but I wonder who might help me. Or, yeah, I just have to keep plugging away at it. They have the mentality that failures are not setbacks, but stepping stones to learning. That's the growth mindset. And so when you adopt a growth mindset, you're better able to handle all of the challenges thrown at you. You are better at creating better relationships, supervising other people, dealing with all of the intricacies that leadership gives us, right? And so when we are in that growth mindset place, we're better able to sort of pause, come back to where am I now? Well, I'm kind of annoyed with my staff, or I'm feeling a little bit overwhelmed, or man, I don't think I'm cut out for this job. Okay, that's where I am right now. Where do I want to be? Well, I want to be communicating with my employee and feeling like we're respecting each other and getting the job done. I want to feel like I can handle my to-do list, right? So then we come back to those three questions. Where am I now? Where do I want to be? if you're in Blueprint for Change or have followed the Blueprint for Change course that I offer, you'll know these 3 questions very well. Where am I now? Where do I want to be? What do I need to do to get there? That's that growth mindset. We believe we have the ability to learn, to grow, to develop, to transition, and we believe those around us have that ability as well. A good leader is somebody who is growing their staff. That great leader sees the potential in their employees. So they don't sort of go, well, that employee's never going to get it. Why bother even trying to teach them? That person can't understand numbers. I'm not going to waste my time trying to teach them how to do their timesheet. I'm just going to fix it for them every 2 weeks because it's not worth the effort. That's the fixed mindset. A growth mindset will go, okay, they have some challenges with numbers. How else could I teach them? Or what other system could we create in our organization that might help people that maybe are number challenged? I'm one of them, so I know what that's like. We have to develop some ways around those kinds of things that we're struggling with. So that's that growth mindset. Grabbing my notes here. A few weeks ago, we talked about, when we were talking about moving from surviving to thriving, we were talking about mastering your confidence. We were talking about all of the stuff that you learn in mastering confidence. We were talking about moving from apprentice to master. And there's a guide sheet for this one as well, guide sheet number 24. I've put the link up on the side today. I was thinking ahead today. I put the link up in the notes to get you to all of these guide sheets. So every time I do a Facebook Live, I have some work for you. The truth is, if you want to develop that growth mindset, what you're wanting to do is develop that level of curiosity about what can I do to grow or develop? How can I grow or develop? Where can I get help to grow or develop? What would it take? Where do I need to look for? And so that's the mindset that I want you to always have is, what am I learning or growing or developing in myself at this moment in my career? That's why I always have guide sheets for you, because it's not only about sort of listening in and then tuning out at the end of Kathy's weekly Facebook Live and going on with your merry way. It's about stopping and taking whatever information I've given you or you've learned anywhere else in your day-to-day travels and going, how does that apply to me? How does that apply to my leadership? How does it apply to my leadership of the people I serve every day, either my staff, my team, or the community or clients or customers we serve? And so you're always going, what do I do with this information? How do I apply it? Where can it help us grow and develop more? Remember, if we get stuck and stagnant, we bog down, we move all the way back into survival mode. When we are feeling just like it's a daily grind, it means we've stopped growing and learning. And so this growth mindset is what's going to bounce you out of survival mode and way farther into thriving again. Because you're going to start going, wow, I'm learning something new. I'm making a difference in my team. I'm feeling the impact of this. So these guide sheets are the action items. You can sit here all day and listen to me ramble on. You can watch all my videos and follow all my blogs and stuff. But if you don't take action, my dear, then it's not making a difference for you. So you have to stop and do some of this work, which comes back to the guide sheets or the courses that you're involved in with me or signing up for, the books you're reading, whatever it is. So I rambled. Apprentice to master. On this guide sheet, what we were talking about is the apprentice recognizes there's a connection to how confident I feel and my connection as an effective leader, and that you're starting to kind of go, okay, I get it. I need to do some growing and learning. Where do I do that? And you start to look for a mentor or a guide or a course or a book or a training session or something that's going to start to grow you. When you move into that journey woman, not journey man, we're women, journey woman, that you have started to work with a system or a process or a program or something, that you've taken that step to go, okay, I'm ready to learn and grow. Either, let's say you are learning better, more information about conflict resolution, how to better handle those difficult conversations. Maybe you're learning more about developing a level of confidence. Perhaps you're learning to do the report writing that you need to. I was talking with an organization the other day about the difference between outcomes and outputs and goals and all of that kind of stuff, and it's enough to make your head go crazy. But there's some learning that you need to do with that. You have to stop and understand what each of those means and how it applies to the work you're doing and where you get that data from and how you compile that data and then turn it into meaningful statistics, and then take those meaningful statistics and let it inform your work. That's a process. That's a whole learning piece. And so if that's the stage where you're at, then where are you getting that information? How are you applying that? What's the course, the system, the book you're reading, the guide you're following to give you that information? And then mastery, so we move from apprentice to journeywoman to mastery. When we move into mastery, that's when we've got it, we've nailed it, and we're probably turning around teaching it to somebody else. So maybe you're the in-house trainer on outcomes, or maybe you're the one who's taken the first aid or the Aboriginal training or the information on risk management, and maybe you're the one that turns around and teaches everybody in your organization about it. That's when you've gone from apprentice to journeywoman to master. And when you're doing that, when you're following that journey, that means you have a growth mindset. You're going, this is where I am, doesn't feel so good. I'm a little bit feeling unsure of myself. I'm hesitant, I'm doubtful. I feel like I'm in over my head, to, okay, I got a system. I'm not there yet, but I know that I can learn it. And then when you master it. So that's one guide sheet, is guide sheet number 24, that helps you look at apprentice to master. Then there's two other ones that I wanted to pop way back to. So if you go over to the link in the show notes today, there's a link to the silverrivercoaching.com/guides, and there's 25 guides there now. So if you scroll all the way down to almost to the beginning, you're going to come to number 2 and number 3, your competence plan and your confidence plan. So there are 3 C words that I often talk about. You need to have the competence, which means you have to have the skills, the knowledge, the information to do your job. That means perhaps that maybe you need to take the online training. Maybe you need to go back to school. Maybe you need to read a book. But you have to have the competence, the know-how, the skills, the information. Once you get that level of competence, you actually need to have the confidence to apply it. Maybe you've taken mediation training or conflict resolution, but if you're never going to sit down with that person that you have the conflict with, or the 2 staff that have the conflict with each other, and apply the skills, it's never going to make a difference. So you have to be competent, but then you have to have the courage to move forward and do that work. That's when, after time and experience and playing around with it for a while, that's when you develop the level of confidence. So you have to be competent first, courageous enough to take the action to develop the level of confidence, right? So both of these 2 guide sheets, your competence plan and your confidence plan, number 2 and number 3, help you look at where are you struggling? What are the difficulties you're having? What are the challenges you're faced with? What is getting in the way every single day of your effective leadership? And then you step back and you look at, so what do I need to learn? What's the thing that I need to figure out, the skill I need to develop, the tool I need to get under my tool belt so that I can do this thing that's getting in the way. So again, maybe it comes back to conflict resolution. Perhaps it comes back to motivating and inspiring your staff. Maybe the challenge you have is that you look at your staff every day and you're like, man, they're just a bunch of warm bodies. I actually want people who are engaged and excited to do their job. I want people who show up every day and take pride in their work. So what do I need to do as a leader to get that result out of them? So then you bounce back and you go through these two and you go, okay, so where would I get that information? So maybe you start to Google motivating staff, right? And perhaps one of the things you'll come across is a book called Drive by Daniel Pink. And you'll go, wow, maybe if I read that book or listened to that audiobook, I would learn some things on motivating employees. And maybe that would help me move from survival mode and my staff from survival mode, where we're like killing ourselves every day showing up at work, to actually thriving and enjoying and feeling like we're making a difference. But I got to learn that information first. That's a growth mindset. So let's back all the way up to the beginning. Your mindset is your view, your attitude, your perception about things. It is the way you see the problem, the challenge in front of you, and the way you see yourself. There are two mindsets, fixed and growth. The fixed mindset says, you know what? I am who I am. I do my job every day. What you see is what you get. A growth mindset says, okay, this is where I am in my leadership today, but I know that I can be a better leader. I know that I can develop skills and grow myself. And I also know that I can grow and develop my team. And I know that it's going to take some effort and it's going to take some time, and I know we're going to have to work at it, but I know that I can grow myself, and I know that my staff can grow them. So that's the mindset. Those are the two mindsets. The one you want, obviously, is the growth mindset. And so how do you develop that? It's curiosity. You get really, really curious about what would it take? Where would I look to get that information? Where can I get help to develop those skills? What are the skills I need? You start asking yourself questions, and you start getting really, really curious about what it is you're looking for. Again, we come back to that thriving target that I talked about. I think it's guide sheet 23. Get clear on what would it be like if me and my team were thriving. What would we be doing? What difference would we be making? What would our conversations feel like? What would a staff meeting look like? What would be different in the impact we're having on our clients and the results we're getting for our customers or the community we serve? Get clear on that and then look at that gap. Okay, so if that's where we want to be, what do we need to learn or grow or develop inside of us? What are the skills we need to develop that are going to get us to that point? And then get really, really curious about what I need to do to get there. If you have any questions, pop them into the question box. I should always say that at the beginning, and I should remind you as we're going through this to ask questions. But if you have questions, pop them into the question box for me right now, and I'll take a moment to answer them. So again, I've talked about a number of guide sheets. Number 23 was the one on thriving target. Number 24 is moving from apprentice to master. And then 2 and 3 are your competence and your confidence plan. One more guide sheet. And I know I'm giving you tons of information. Again, I want you to come back to the two mindsets, growth and fixed mindset. And what I want you to do is get really, really curious about what it's going to take for you to develop that growth mindset. And so these guide sheets are all just some tools you can use. One of them is probably going to spark something in you to go, yeah, I'm curious about that. I want to know more about that. So that brings me to last week's guide sheet. And last week's guide sheet, number 25, was leadership books to listen to. So last week we were talking about my book, Mastering Confidence. We were talking about this whole Audible sort of membership that you can get in terms of listening to books. Here's the thing about leaders. Leaders are learners. The most effective leaders are readers. So if you want to develop yourself, if you want to grow to be the best leader you can be, have the most impactful impact to make the changes that you want, start reading. Read as much as you possibly can. And so last week's guide sheet was 20 of my favorite leadership books. And in that guide sheet I put the link to each of the Audible versions of those books. Because here's what I know about you. You are busy. In fact, you are extremely busy. And you don't have a lot of time in your life. What I would like to see you do, and this week's blog post is all about this, I would like to see you develop a habit of reading for about 10 minutes a day minimum. More than that would be fabulous. But if you could squeak in 10 minutes a day of reading, let me tell you, you would feel a tremendous difference. You'll move from surviving to thriving real fast. It will just exponentially change your days without a doubt in my mind, even 10 minutes a day of reading. And yet I know that it's really hard to fit that 10 minutes of day into your day. So Audible is one of the tools that I use, and I know a lot of other, sorry, I'm just checking the notes, just a second. Where are the guide sheets? Are they found on your webpage? Are they? So if you go to the link, Elaine, they are right at the top. It's Silver River Coaching /guides. And each of those guides, there's a little image on each of those guides, is a link to another page that if you throw your name in there, you'll get the guide sheet sent directly to your email. So silverrivercoaching.com/guides. Again, the link should be right wherever. I don't know where I'm pointing. I don't know what it looks like on your end, but wherever I'm pointing, the link should be right there as I'm talking right now, that if you just click on that, it'll pop you on over to all of those guides and you'll get them. So thank you for asking, because I want to make sure that everybody knows where to find this stuff, because it's not going to help you if you can't find it. So I know that you don't have a lot of time in your day. Audiobooks are one of the things that I have used for years and years and years. I am telling you, I used to listen to cassette tapes when people knew what cassette tapes were. I listened to discs. I would borrow audiobooks from the library, and on a trip, I would plunk in one disc after the other to listen to the leadership greats. Stephen Covey, Ken Blanchard. You know, I mean, those are the people that back in the day I was listening to. I didn't have as much time as I would have liked to read. And so I made use of the time I had. I have worked, you know, in areas where I'm constantly driving to go see my staff, my team, clients, to training, all of that kind of stuff. And so I made use of that time. That's what we were talking about last week. The best time to be multitasking is when you're sorry, I can't even come up with the word right now, when you're driving. Other times, when you are putting your makeup on in the morning, making your breakfast, folding your laundry, eating your lunch, working out, all of those times are times that you can be listening in to some of that wisdom from the sages around the world. Literally. I mean, you don't have to limit yourself to the time you have to sit down, pull out a book, and read. Now, let me tell you, there are some wonderful benefits to reading. I am an avid reader, and I read books, and I highlight books, and I take notes, and I study books. So I'm not saying don't ever do that. What I'm saying is there are other tools as well to help you learn and grow as much as you possibly can. Make use of them. Audible is one of them. And so this guide sheet number 25, is a link to 25 of my favorite leadership books with the Audible links. If you don't want to do Audible books, just look at the titles of the books and go find them. You can find books on leadership. You can find books on motivating staff. You can find books on time management, how to get things done. What else? Confidence is in here. Mindfulness is in here. Grit, leaving a legacy, stress, compassion. All of that kind of stuff are listed in this 20 books. These are the books that I listen to now, and re-listen to again and again and again. Audible is a membership for $14.99, either Canadian or American, wherever you live, doesn't matter, it's still $14.99. And you get one book a month. When you buy an Audible membership, it makes you read. It's like buying a gym membership. If you buy the membership, you're more inclined to read. So yesterday I got an email in my inbox that said, you have one new credit. So what do? I head over to Audible, and I'm like, oh boy, what book am I going to listen to today? And I had one in mind, and I actually switched it before the end of the day. It was a good thing I didn't buy or didn't use my credit first thing, because I had this urge to grab one book, which I know I will come back and read too. It is Sharon Salzberg, and she is a mindfulness expert, and so she's got a new book out, and I will go back and read that one. But I knew that I needed to go back and listen to a different book on marketing right now, so that I can talk to you guys more and get these messages out there more. So that's the one that I ended up grabbing. Any other questions? Pop them in, guys. So again, I'm going to go back just so that we are all clear. Mindsets. A mindset is your view or your attitude or your mental outlook or your mentality. It's your lens. It's the vision through which you see the world. And oftentimes that mindset can get us into trouble. When we adopt that fixed mindset, we go back to what I've been talking about for weeks, victim mode, right? We blame everybody else. We finger point. We say it's their problem. I can't do anything because my boss won't let me. My staff aren't on my team. I don't have time. We give up our ability to make any change because we throw it all out there. And so that's that fixed mindset. I'm not good at math. I'm not creative. I don't know how to do Excel spreadsheets. I don't feel comfortable speaking in front of the room. I'm not good at conflict. All of those things that we say keep us stuck. You have to flip over to that growth mindset. When you flip to that growth mindset, it's not easy. I'm not going to tell you that just magically things start happening for you. It takes time and it takes effort. It takes work. You have to do that work to get where you want to go. Figure out where it is you want to go. Create that vision. Develop that outlook that you want for yourself. This is what I look like, feel like, experience when I'm a more confident leader, when I'm a more capable leader, when I feel credible. That's what it's like for me. And what do I need to do to get there? What are the skills I need to develop? What's the attitude I need to have? What's the things that I need to be more courageous in? Where can I get help? Who can help me? What books can I read? What courses can I take? All of those things is the growth mindset. And when you do that, you start to feel the shifts and the changes. You start to develop and grow, and you move from surviving, just getting through your days, tolerating what's going on, barely, getting up and going to work in the morning. You move from survival mode to thriving in both leadership and life. This has an incredible spillover effect into your own life. This isn't just about leadership. At the end of the day, when you've had a crappy day at work, it falls into your personal life. The flip side is true as well. When you start to feel better about the work you're doing, have the impact you want to have, feel more confident and capable and credible, you're going to come home with more energy, a smile on your face. You're going to be more inclined to interact with your family and your world differently because you've made that difference at work. Any questions, guys? Pop them into the questions and I will answer them. I know there's some of you still following, so I'm here. I don't want to jump off. If you still have burning questions or thoughts, give me a thumbs up if this has been helpful to you. Let me know that this information is good. And always, again, I started at the beginning talking about the Confident Women Leaders group. If you're not in that group, I don't have the link in yet, but I'll put it in after. Join the Confident Women Leaders group. Lean in, ask me some questions, and always let me know what else you want to know. Send me an email, send me a note on Facebook. What else do you want to learn? What else do you want information on? What areas are you struggling with? Tell me so that I can give back to you the information and the support and the guidance to help you be your best self. That's what I'm here for. I know that as leaders, so many of us have been struggling and doing this all alone. We've been feeling like we're the only one. I felt that way when I was in leadership. I was struggling with staff conflict. I was lacking confidence. I was overwhelmed with the magnitude of responsibility that I had. My to-do list was overflowing. And yet, I thought I was the only one. All of that fell over into my personal life, and I didn't want to tell anybody I was struggling in my personal life because I thought I was the only one. The truth is we are all in the same situation. Yes, we all have little differences and things pop up in our lives slightly different than everybody else, but we are all overwhelmed in our leadership. We are all struggling in our leadership. We are all feeling incompetent at times. And so when we can lean in to each other, that's when we start to feel the difference. And that's when we start to go, okay, so then it's okay to be not perfect. It's okay to admit that I'm struggling, but where do I need to get help to do that? So thank you so much for listening today, everyone. I'm grateful that you're here and that you come every week. I know some of you faithfully watch these videos and follow along, and I'm so grateful for that because I know that it's not easy, to make time in your day. And the other thing is it's not always easy to sort of admit or acknowledge that you're struggling or that you're feeling the impact. So absolutely, if you are joining me today from the bottom of my heart, thank you. And I just want to, before I end today, I want to see if I can, hopefully I don't mess this up. No. I can never tell who's watching. So if you're there, thank you. Thank you, thank you, thank you. And I hope that you'll join me next week as we continue to move from surviving to thriving in both leadership and life. Thanks, my dear. Have an awesome rest of your day.